Shalom, and thank you for joining us today. We have a very special show and a very special guest, and that's Kevin Sorbo, and we're glad to have you with us. You want to say hello to the people?
Well, hello, people. How are you? Kevin Sorbo here, very relaxed in my my lazy boy chair here in the bedroom. It's all good stuff.
That's great. We really appreciate you joining us, and for our viewers and listeners, you may recognize Kevin from a lot of different movies. His time spent on the series Hercules. He did the film God's Not Dead, Let There Be Light. He is the actor, director, producer at Wildfire Films. Also, you just did another new documentary that was released in November.
Actually, I did a couple. I had one released. It came earlier than November, called Before the Wrath.
As Galileans, we witnessed his first miracle. He warned us that a time of great deception would come. But we must hold on to our faith, that one day he would return to save us from the end of the world.
Most people don't believe that Jesus is coming back. What if there was evidence that proves that this is all real?
Because there were so many people bringing up little bits and pieces of this. I'm thinking, there's got to be a pattern here.
The Bible talks about it as being a mystery, but why does the rapture have to happen? What's the point to it all? A Galilean would have understood that perfectly.
They are the key to everything. I'm just so stunned. I never thought I would see this in my lifetime.
This is the most profound discovery in human history.
From his promise made through wine at the Last Supper, to why the world cannot know the day of his return, we were chosen to preserve the truth until the end of days. So even if we are not spared from death, others can unveil what we knew and believe.
This discovery proves that he is coming back.
Check that one out, beforethewrath.com. That came out, I'm going to say that came out probably 6 or 7 months ago already, but it's the #1 documentary on Amazon.
Wow.
It's a look at the book Revelation. It's pretty fascinating. But I had 2 documentaries that just came out over the last 30 days. One is called Climate Hustle 2. Go to climatehustle2.com. It's the other side of the global warming issue, which I call weather. But I think I hope people take a look at it, because there are just as many scientists, if not more, that will debunk everything that the inconvenient truth and other things that Al Gore and those people that are claiming the world is coming to an end. It's pretty fascinating. I think people need to look at both sides. I always look at both sides, and I think people can decide for themselves. Look at it, hear what these guys have to say. I'll be your guide and your narrator.
Nearly every day, we hear dire predictions about climate change from the media establishment, Hollywood, and politicians. They tell us that the world is coming to an end because normal human activity is raising the temperature to dangerous levels. To avoid a hellish apocalypse, they warn us we must immediately change our lifestyles and our very way of life. But are these sensational claims based on solid empirical science? Do the facts line up with the hype? Well, an increasing number of scientists are becoming skeptical. We covered what many of these scientists had to say in our first groundbreaking film, Climate Hustle. From overhyped claims about severe weather events temperatures, rising sea levels, and even disappearing polar bears. Climate Hustle peeled back the hype and looked at the facts, facts that simply don't add up to any reason for alarm. So this begs the questions. Why would those claiming a global warming catastrophe spread a false narrative? What would motivate them? Why would they try to hustle you? Are they trying to control the climate or you? Well, those are the questions we're going to explore in this film, and the answers may shock you. Order your DVD, Blu-ray, or digital copy today of Climate Hustle 2.
And the other one is, I'm very proud of it. It's called Against the Tide. Go to againstthetide.movie. And I spent 3 weeks in Oxford, England, and 2 weeks in Israel with John Lennox. John Lennox is an apologist. He's a retired math professor from Oxford University. He's debated all the great atheists of the world, like Singer and Dawkins and Hitchens. And I hope people will check this out.
Why there is something rather than nothing is a huge question today.
Belief in God does not really help us.
Religion teaches us to be satisfied with not really understanding.
I believe the exact opposite. God, far from being a delusion, is real.
Religion is a fiction that just is never challenged.
I believe that the public need to hear that there is another side.
And that's why I'm here too, to have you help me to understand and follow the evidence.
I do argue that there is evidence for the existence of an intelligent God behind the universe. Christianity answers the question, who is this God?
How do we know that God came here in basically human form? How do we know that?
Why don't we meet in the place where it all began?
What about the resurrection?
Now, I don't normally need 5 minutes to rebut the resurrection.
The resurrection possesses unrivaled explanatory power.
John, I sense that you truly believe this.
I'm convinced of it, not simply as a Christian, but as a believing scientist.
I call it, it's called Against the Tide, and it's proving God in the world of science. And I call it apologetics for dummies like me. So I think people will find it very educational as well. So I hope they check it out.
Yes, we want to encourage everybody to take a look at those. And Kevin, even if you look on his IMDb, he's very forthright about his faith, and that is very important in his life. One of the reasons we wanted to have him on here, of course, is because we want to have believers from Hollywood and in that area that are coming forward with their faith, but also Facebook just recently canceled you, or we're dealing with cancel culture right now.
I know. It's crazy what's going on out there right now. They give me warnings over the last 2 years, probably. I had over 550,000 followers on there, and I post a lot of stuff about, hey guys, look at this article here about voter fraud, or look at this article here about what they're saying about wearing masks. And here's, something else dealing with pro-life. And I'll post a lot of things that other people are saying. But apparently, freedom of speech has gone out the window, and we're giving these social media giants more power than the government has. Yes. And it's incredibly sad. And every time they ask me to take something down, I reluctantly did. But they've been shadow banning me anyway. When I used to get 50,000 to 200,000 likes in every post, they were keeping it below 10,000 on purpose, and they admitted to it. They'd said, we're limiting the people that can see your posts. And I was like, I kept trying to email them, talk to somebody, and then they just took me down. Wow. And I got a lot of press on that. And then they finally came out and talked to Facebook and said, no, we gave him 2 warnings to take down 2 sites, and he didn't do it. So we got rid of him. And that's not true. I had 1 warning from them about 2.5 weeks ago. And they said, you have until March 15th to take down these sites. Otherwise, we're going to take off your site. So I took those 2 sites down. They still took me down. It has nothing to do with what I say. They want to get rid of me because I'm a conservative and I'm a Christian. They want to get rid of all of us.
Right. You know, we're seeing a lot of that even recently, and I have they didn't even give me a reason. They shut me down for about 48 hours and said that I had, was it gone
Violated
against,
something.
violated the community rules. And I'm like, I
They
had not
love
even,
that. They love
yeah,
that.
I had not even been posting. And I'm like, I don't know what community rule I violated, but I know he's been in
I've been
YouTube
censored
jail.
quite a bit. Yeah, I've been in YouTube jail and kicked off, banned from Facebook several times for kind of the same stuff that you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
because,
it's crazy what's going on. And they're going after anybody right now that has any sort of opposing view to what there's, and it doesn't. There's no facts behind what they're doing. There's no truth. I mean, they can call us fake news when reality is they are. I mean, they're the ones who use projection to get it out there and say you're this, you're that, you're something else. And I mean, the years that I heard screaming at Trump saying he's a racist, and the liberals I talked to, I was going, well, how is he a racist? Can you give me some examples? And they never can give an example. But the press says racist. And you keep saying it over and over again. Pretty soon these bozos will believe 2 + 2 = 5. Exactly. If you say it enough to them, they'll go, yeah, it equals 5. I mean, because they're like mindless zombies walking around out there being led by this really evil and corrupt government and social and media right now.
Yes. Well, absolutely. And was it Hitler that said if you tell a lie long enough and loud enough, the masses will believe it?
There is a video from 2 years ago from Pelosi, and she said right to the press, she says, oh, it's easy for us to smear somebody. We can say something about anyone, and you, the media, will make it seem real. You guys will spread with the story. She admits to it.
Right.
They just call it, well, it's just part of politics.
Yeah, I actually got in trouble for putting that video up.
Yeah.
So it's one of those great moments in life.
So what do you feel like the climate is in Hollywood with you being you are conservative, you are outspoken?
Well, I've been released from Hollywood about 10, 11 years ago. My agent said goodbye. My manager said goodbye. We said, we can't work with you anymore. And they, they'll admit that behind closed doors, but if you interviewed them, they say, oh no, he's making that up. There is a blacklist in Hollywood, and it's sad to me. I mean, Hollywood doesn't owe me anything, but I love the industry. I love making movies. I love the creativity of it. I like the camaraderie of being on a set. I love it, and I'm hooked on it. And thank God for the independent world out there, because I've done a lot of independent movies since then, and I've had success with them. But it's frustrating for me for an industry that screams tolerance and screams freedom of speech. It's a one-way road, and it's very frustrating for me that we can't just work together and have a different opinion. I don't have the hatred and anger they have, but I'm telling people that are like-minded like me, that want America to be America the way it's supposed to be, where our forefathers and the Constitution says it should be. We need to have the same passion that the left has, that the liberal has, without the anger and without the violence. We need to have that same drive, because apathy right now, to me, is the biggest killer of America right now. Because so many people in the middle of the road or the right go, oh, what can we do? They own everything. Well, if you have that kind of attitude, yeah, they will own everything eventually, and they'll own you and your life and your children's lives. And we need to fight back, because it's crazy to me to think that we need to change America to look like Venezuela or North Korea or Cuba or Russia back during the 50s and 40s. It's insane to me. People think that's a good thing. It's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just seeing something I thought I would never see in this country, with the lack of freedom of speech, the censorship. I just really did not see this happening so quickly. And like you said, the apathy and the quietness, if we don't speak out. And it's funny, because even in a lot of Christian conservative circles, if you do speak out, then even your own team is against you sometimes.
I know, it's crazy. It's like, it's like COVID right now. They're using COVID as another weapon. They're using fear as a weapon to control our lives. I've got plenty of doctors that I know of, and that's why I posted their thoughts in their videos that got banned, saying masks are useless. They say, look, the thing goes right through masks, and they're fun. Even CDC said, I just saw an article recently, they said the number of states that have the strictest COVID rules and social distancing and wearing masks are seeing the biggest spikes right now. Every doctor I know that talks to me privately says that the virus goes right through the mask. We can't hide from a virus. They've been around for centuries upon centuries, since mankind has been here. And we've always built immunities. Some people have died. Some people got sick. Some people didn't get sick. But we've always done it. The vaccine for the flu has been around for 79 years. And still 40 to 50,000 people a year die in America alone. Well, I guess we should have been wearing masks forever and ever and ever. I mean, look at the stupid rules they set up. I fly a lot. So I get on the plane, keep social distancing as you walk on the plane. You sit down, there's a guy 6 inches from me, his arm's touching mine. There's a guy across, I mean, there literally are 28 people, if you're in 3-row seats,
Right.
less than 6 feet from you. But
Yeah,
the minute you stand up 1 row at a time and keep 6 feet apart, look at the stupidity of that. How does that even begin to make any sense? Wear the mask into the restaurant, but as soon as you sit down, you can take it off. Because if you sit down in a booth, there's no COVID there. I mean, it's crazy what we're doing to people right now.
That's what I said, this is a really smart virus because it will get me in the lobby of the restaurant, but it won't get me at my seat. I mean, it's really, really smart.
It's just sad what we're doing to people, and people buy into it because they've been doing a running tally every day. And we know that these numbers now are inflated. They're talking about, they're saying, look, oh yeah, we look what they did with Cuomo and the people in the nursing care. This virus, the majority of people over 80 years of old, it's horrible. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. And from what happened to the man-made thing, a lot of times people saying this was man-made. This was a mutated virus that they in the Wuhan labs that they created. That's kind of been very quiet now. But 80 years old or older, the most people have died. Pre-existing conditions, obesity, they've had strokes, they've had heart attacks, they got cancer. There's a lot of things. There's a weakness in the system. Right. Kids wearing masks to me is child abuse. Teachers, we got to stop paying teachers. And I grew up in the world. My dad was a public school teacher. If you're not going to go back and teach in those classrooms, and you still want to get paid, it's absolutely ridiculous. You're worried to be in front of 30 kids. Then don't be around your other adults if that's what you're worried about getting things, because if people in Costco or Walmart, where their jobs are essential, they're still being exposed to thousands of people a day in the store. They're still at work. So why can't teachers go back to work? But the reality is public school systems are horrible anyway. So I'm hoping more people do what we've been doing with our kids is homeschool. So people need to get back to homeschooling because our schools on top of it. Here's the dichotomy for me. The schools right now are in an indoctrination camp for our kids and turning them into little communists.
Yes, and the equality law is going to make that even worse for our children. Okay. In the indoctrination. Our granddaughter just was sent home yesterday or the day before because someone in her class had COVID. So they sent half the class home and let half the class stay. Now that makes absolutely no sense.
Give me the numbers on children, on kids 20 years old and younger, because 20 years aren't children anymore, but even college, let's go to 22 and younger. Give me the real numbers of the number of people that have gotten COVID and died.
Yeah, it's small.
I think it's a 99.9999% survival rate. And overall, it's anywhere to what you want to believe. It's 99.4 or 99.7 survival rate if you get it. And we're treating this like it's the end of the world. There's like 1.7 million people die in car accidents a year around the world, not America. 1.7 million. Well, maybe we should stop driving. We should get rid of cars. I mean, you can't hide from this thing. It's horrible, but you can't hide from it. We need herd immunity. And this whole thing about wearing masks is just evil to me. I mean, the kids are going to grow up thinking it's normal just to see people sad and walk around like zombies. People don't want to make eye contact. I go through the grocery store and I don't wear a mask until they tell me to wear one. I'll go, why should I wear a mask? Oh, to make people feel safe. Oh, okay. Yeah.
We don't
every store, everywhere I go here in Florida, I don't wear a mask until somebody comes up. And half the time people don't come up. They just walk away from me like I'm part of the Walking Dead team.
Yes. Yeah, we get those strange looks and people have said stuff to us and but we don't. If the masks work anyway, then why send kids home from school? You've got a mask. So if the masks are working, why do they have to come home?
Why are we letting prisoners out of prison if masks work? Get them all a mask. They'll be just fine in prison. But no, we're releasing these people into the general public. And we're letting people flood the borders now because Biden says it's a good thing. And they've already reported hundreds and hundreds of cases of COVID of people coming into our border.
Right.
It's just, we live in a backward, upside down world right now.
But we need more people, like you said, that are thinking and speaking out.
So are you part of the Pure Flix? Are you part of the ownership of Pure Flix?
No. I've done a couple moves. Pure Flix ran into financial problems. They just sold their company to Sony Affirmed right now. So they stopped making movies a while ago. I think their streaming service will still be called Pure Flix, but it's owned by Sony Affirmed now. And Sony works a lot with the Kendrick brothers, where they do like War Room and Courageous and movies like that. So I have my own studio called Sorbo Family Film Studio.
In that classroom, there is a God, and yet I'm him. Let's forget forgiven me, but I never forgave myself.
God sacrificed everything to be with you. So, sacrifice everything.
Now you fight to save men's souls. You're forgiven.
It's a season of miracles.
In Jesus' name we pray. Don't ever think that God is angry with you.
What did he say, Saul?
And he said, Daddy, let there be light. This is my life. It's what I do best.
Maybe we could help each other out here.
Can I get an amen?
So please go to SorboFamilyFilmStudios.com. Sign up. I've got 3 movies coming out this year. One of my directed called Miracle in East Texas. It's an amazing movie. It's a true story set in 1930. And I directed it, and I'm acting along with John Ratzenberger and Lou Gossett Jr. and Tyler Main. My wife's in it, Sam Sorbo. She does amazing in it. And that'll be in theaters this summer.
Mr. Irving, how old were you when you first met Doc Boyd?
Maybe 9 or 10. Dr. Horatio Dallas Boyd, petroleum engineer. Doc Boyd and David Edwards teamed up. What these 2 old rascals realized is that while they weren't much good at actually finding or drilling for oil,
we're crooks. We've conned all those old ladies. That's what we do.
they both possessed an unusual facility for convincing people that they could do just that.
It is a season of miracles.
Because what they were selling was not oil, it was hope.
In Jesus' name we pray.
Widows were the mother's milk of the petroleum hustle.
I'll take the Widow Jones.
I'll flip you for her. Now all we need is a few thousand more to bring this well in.
And we'll be sitting in high clover.
The only problem was they hit oil. What do you do when a miracle exceeds your wildest dreams?
We sold 500% of nothing.
You will stand for judgment.
I'm more concerned with the Texas Rangers than the Holy Spirit.
We both under arrest.
All rise.
Give me your best shot.
The good Lord himself saw what we were too blind to see.
We struck oil here. How many times have you been a millionaire?
With the grace of God, these men can be saved.
I don't know you two fellas, and I don't know about a fortune teller.
Oil! Oil, dadgummit! Oh, Lordy, it's too strong. I can't control it.
You better get him out of the sun.
Along with One Nation Under God's coming out.
Who do I think Jesus was? I think Jesus was a fabricated story used to instill fear in people.
All right, ready? Hey, my name is Will Backey. I'm Michael Allen. And my name is Lawson Hopkins.
What's up? I'm Austin Meek. I'm a Christian and I don't have all the answers. So here's the deal. The four of us would consider ourselves Christians. Most Christians act like they have everything figured out, and I have almost nothing figured out.
We want to stop acting the Christian life and start living it. I mean, if this really is good news, then we should be telling everyone.
Believe there's a God? No. Yeah, can you tell us why?
Who do I think Jesus was? I think Jesus was the earthly embodiment of God.
When people die, I think they become spirits, they go to heaven. It's not about them, it's about God.
I think it's the end. The universe is huge. There has to be something bigger than us.
Really a tough question.
And another one called The Girl Who Believed in Miracles, which I believe opens at the end of this month or early April, and about they got 400 screens right now because movie theaters are finally slowly opening up again, which is good.
Grandpa, when I found the bird, I prayed.
God, you made this poor little guy, so maybe you could help him out.
His heart isn't beating, Sarah, and it's dead.
Then I saw God standing on the other side of the lake.
I always thought that you were kind of special.
You see him?
Who?
God.
You saw God and then brought a dead bird back to life.
No, I didn't. God did.
Where'd you get this?
I drew it when I came home tonight.
You drew this?
It just sounds like she has a healthy imagination to me.
She would never outright lie. My cat died last week. I was wondering if you could stop by and bring him back to life.
Mom, it really was God.
Sarah, do you think you can help me walk again?
I don't know.
Could you say a prayer for me?
So, tell me what this medical emergency is all about.
I moved my toes this morning.
I can't explain what happened in there. Severed nerves and spinal cord can't regenerate.
Mom?
Oh, my baby. I thought he was never supposed to walk again.
He wasn't.
It was Sarah.
I keep fighting voices in my mind.
It's not healthy or fair to other people to pretend that you're actually having conversations with God.
I'm not pretending.
Is Sarah Hopkins a miracle worker?
It's about to turn her world upside down.
I don't think I can take this much excitement.
Yeah, hold on to your hat. There's going to be a lot more of it.
Dad, I think these people want to see Sarah.
Thank you. I know that I was seeing God. Everything Sarah told us was true.
I'm just a lucky girl who God decided to visit. The truth is, all you have to do is believe in God and pray to Him. He's listening.
This one is just sweeter than chocolate.
It's not possible. You're beginning to catch on.
Yes.
And then we just got funded for the next Left Behind movie, which I'll be starring in and directing as well. We start filming in June. And I'm very excited about that one. And I have another documentary we're about to starting here in April. And that one is going to be on a documentary on the Last Supper with an emphasis on the 12 disciples, which should be pretty fascinating.
That sounds beautiful. Now, the Left Behind movie, is that like part 2 of the one that Nicolas Cage was in?
Well, it would be like the third part. I think they did one years ago with Kirk Cameron.
Right.
And then the last one came out years ago as well, like 7-8 years ago with
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. And now I'm taking over that role.
Gotcha.
And also directing as well. And it's a really, really good script. So I'm looking forward to it. And then I have a Western I'm shooting up in Montana late summer, early fall with Antonio Sabato and his new company called Flix. And we have Dean Cain in there, Christy Swanson, Scott Baio. And it's a Western called Trailblazers. And it's a faith-based Western. It's going to be pretty fun to be part of that team.
That sounds great. I'm just so thrilled to hear how much work you're doing and for people watching and listening to realize that that you can have a voice, you can speak up and believe what you believe and still work and still accomplish your dreams. I think that's amazing.
Well, the biggest obstacle for us is raising money. I mean, we do, our budgets are $3 to $4 million in that range. People watching right now, oh, it's a lot of money. It's not. I mean,
Hollywood.
You got to understand, if you look at Avengers or Pirates of the Caribbean, those kind of movies, Thor, Spider-Man, those are $300 million movies. And they'll spend $100 to $150 million on promoting those movies through commercials, trailers, whatever. So 3 or 4 million is maybe catering on those movies. And for us to have a hard time trying to raise money for it is very frustrating because we do movies that have a positive message.
Right.
That send out love, hope, redemption, faith, laughter, hopefully crying in good places that are good places to cry. And, I like doing movies that I call actors movies they're characters you can relate to. I'll never be Hercules in real life. Okay. You'll never be Wonder Woman. You'll never be Superman, but those are fun movies to be part of. But I like to do movies that people can go, I know somebody like that, or I'm like that person. So I'm going to keep doing those. I've got some great scripts. And my last movie, Let There Be Light, that did very well in theaters. Sean Hannity funded that. I got a call from Netflix when it came out because it opened number 2 per screen average against Thor Ragnarok, a $300 million movie. And we were like $3 million movie. And Netflix called me up and said that they want to work with me. So far, they haven't. but we're still open to conversation to hopefully open an inspirational division on Netflix, because there's 80 million homes out there, 80 million homes that want family, not necessarily faith-based movies, but family content that their 7 and 8-year-old kids can watch. And those are the movies that I do.
That is awesome to hear. That's very encouraging because we're filmmakers as well. So we understand the logistics of trying to raise a budget.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
That without the print and advertisement is always the big equation, as you pointed out, because it's tough to compete if you can't get your name and stuff out where you're gonna get it seen.
And and you got to raise it. Yeah, after you finish the movie, you got to raise $1 million just to get it in 400 screens. And it's a tough act to follow sometimes. Those things. God's Not Dead was an anomaly. I mean, that was a $2 million movie that made 70 million box office in America, and it really comes down to a positive word of mouth. Because I think at the most, I think they doubled that. They had about another 2 million to get into 800 screens. But because it opened so big, it just took off on itself. So we need, when you put out these movies, the movies that I mentioned, I hope your people watching this wrote them down real quick. I know I was talking fast because we have limited time here, but we need your word of mouth, because without word of mouth, these movies will die in the box office really quick. I mean, God's Not Dead was massive. God's Not Dead 2 did okay. I wasn't in that one, but that did okay. God's Not Dead 3 was in and out of theaters in 3 days. If people don't support these movies, owners will take them out. These theater owners, they don't care what movies in there. They want to sell popcorn and sodas. So we need to fill up those seats to keep these movies in play. Otherwise, Hollywood controls the culture, and that controls the politics. And we need to fight back any way we can.
And that's one way, if you're listening or watching, that we can fight back, is by supporting the efforts of filmmakers that are producing great films with good content, and using our voice, and putting our butts in the seat and buying the popcorn and the soda, but supporting the film.
Yep.
Yes, very much. Hey, well, we don't want to belabor this or take up too much of your time, and we know that you have a time frame, so we want to thank you for being on with us, and we want to thank you for your time. And you have any closing thoughts?
Just keep doing what you're doing and keep being a voice, and I appreciate that.
Go to kevinsorbo.net. That's another place to go to. I'm having a new a website starting pretty soon called Sorbo Vision. It's gonna have my wife and myself combined together. And but kevinsorbo.net. But Sorbo Family Film Studios is a good place to go.
Great.
And like I said, I got a lot of good movies coming up. And knocking on wood. Took 8 years to raise the money for Left Behind, so we finally raised it. So God bless you guys, and everybody have a great week.
God bless you.
All right, thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
You